The snowstorm was so loud it swallowed their screams. 3 women, ropes cutting into their wrists, boots dangling inches above frozen death. And the men who left them there? They laughed. They turned their backs. They were sure no one was coming. But they didn't know one thing. A Hell's Angel was already on the road. Before this story goes any further, subscribe to our channel Bikershype right now. If stories of loyalty, brotherhood, and biker justice hit your soul, like this video and share it with your friends. And if you love Hell's Angels, prove it. Help us reach our 1,000 subscribers target. Now, let me tell you what really happened that night. Snowflake, Part 1. The snow that burned like fire the forest outside Dead Oak Pass had a reputation. Truckers avoided it. Hunters didn't camp there. Even cops pretended it didn't exist. Because people vanished there. Not quickly. Not cleanly. Slowly. That night, the snow came down sideways, thick, sharp, and merciless. The kind of snow that didn't fall, it attacked. Maya was the first to lose feeling in her fingers. She was 32. A waitress. A woman who had worked double shift her whole life just to keep her younger sister safe. Now her hands were tied above her head, ropes soaked through, frozen solid, burning her skin raw. Beside her hung Elena, 27, a nurse who had pulled dying strangers back from the edge of death more times than she could count. And on the other side, Rose, 40, a single mother, the strongest of them, the one who hadn't cried yet. Their feet barely touched the ground, just enough to keep them alive, just enough to make the pain last longer. A cruel design. "Please," Maya whispered, lips blue, teeth chattering. "Please, someone." No one answered. Only the wind. Only the creaking of the tree branches above them. Only the memory of the men who had done this. Drop of blood, how they got there it started with a broken-down car. A white sedan stalled on an empty highway. Hazard lights blinking weakly like a dying heartbeat. They should have trusted their instincts. But when a pickup truck stopped, when the driver smiled when he said, "Road's dangerous tonight. I'll help you," they believed him. People always think evil looks obvious. It doesn't. Evil smiles. Evil opens doors. Evil waits until you're alone in the snow. Snowflake, hours passed. Hope froze Elena's breathing was shallow now. "I can't feel my legs," she whispered. Rose turned her head slowly, every movement agony. "Don't say that. Don't you dare say that." Maya's tears froze on her cheeks. If we fall asleep," she said. They all knew what that meant. Sleep was death. That's when Rose noticed something strange. The wind shifted. The forest went quiet. Too quiet. No howling wind. No cracking branches. Just silence. Then a sound. Low. Distant. A growl. Not thunder. Not an engine like any car they knew. Rose's head snapped up. "That's a motorcycle," she whispered. Maya laughed weakly. "You're hallucinating." But then the sound came again. Closer. Deeper. Angrier. Motorcycle. The Hell Angel arrives, the snow parted like it recognized him. A massive bike cut through the storm, black, heavy, unstoppable. The rider didn't rush. Didn't panic. He rode like a man who had all the time in the world, and the whole world should be afraid of that fact. He stopped beneath the tree. Killed the engine. The silence that followed was louder than the storm. The women barely dared to breathe. Then he looked up. Leather jacket crusted with snow. Gray beard stiff with ice. Eyes sharp. Calm. Deadly. A Hell's Angel. He took one look at the ropes. One look at their faces. And his jaw tightened. "Who did this?" he asked. His voice wasn't loud. But it carried. Rose tried to speak. Her lips wouldn't move. The biker stepped forward, pulled a knife from his belt, and cut them down one by one, catching each body before it hit the frozen ground. When Maya collapsed into the snow, sobbing, he wrapped his jacket around her without hesitation. "You're safe now," he said. But the way he said it, it didn't sound like comfort. It sounded like a promise of violence. Fire-ending CTA, AS requested, if this moment gave you chills. If you believe real bikers still stand for protection and justice. Backhand index pointing right, like this video, backhand index pointing right. Share it, with your friends Backhand Index Point Right. Subscribe to Bikershype. And if you truly love Hell's Angels, help us complete our 1,000 subscribers target. Now prove your love. The snow didn't stop falling, but something far colder had just been awakened. Because when a Hell's Angels biker says you're safe now, it means someone else is about to lose everything. The man who was already hunting the biker's name was Grim. Not the name his mother gave him. The name the road earned him. He had been riding for 3 hours straight through the storm, headlights cutting tunnels through white nothingness. His knuckles were stiff, his beard iced over, and his bones ached the way they only do when you've lived too many winters on 2 wheels. But Grim hadn't been riding to escape the storm. He had been riding into it. Because 3 hours earlier, a woman had called a payphone at a gas station 40 miles south of Dead Elk Pass. Her voice had been shaking. "They took my sister," she said. 3 of them. White pickup. No plates. They said nobody comes back from the forest. The gas station clerk had shrugged it off. Grim hadn't. He had been sitting at the counter, helmet beside him, coffee untouched. And when she said forest and white pickup and 3 men, something old and ugly stirred in his chest. Drop of blood, a history written in blood, and Snow-Dead Elk Pass wasn't just dangerous. It was claimed. Years back, a loose group of predators, men who were behind weather, isolation, and fear, had turned that stretch of land into a hunting ground. They didn't wear colors. They didn't belong to any club. They were worse. Cowards who believed the storm would erase their sins. But storms don't erase anything. They just preserve. Grim had buried a friend there once. A young rider. Good heart. Bad luck. Left tied to a tree, just like these women. Found in spring. The men responsible were never caught. Not by cops. Not by courts. But Grim had made himself a promise that day, kneeling in thawing mud, hands shaking with rage. If I ever smell this kind of evil again, I finish it. Snowflake back in the forest. Life hanging by a thread. Maya was barely conscious. Her teeth chattered so violently Grim worried they'd crack. He sat her against a tree, lit a small emergency flare, and wrapped another thermal blanket around her shoulders. "Elena," he said calmly, kneeling beside the nurse. "Look at me." Her eyes fluttered open. "You still with us?" She nodded. Barely. Rose watched him closely. She had grown up around men who hurt people. She knew the difference between violence and control violence. Grim moved with purpose. No wasted motion. No panic. "You saved us," Rose said hoarsely. Grim didn't answer. He was studying the rope marks. The knots. The direction the truck had come from. Finally he spoke. "They didn't leave you to die," he said. "They left you to suffer." Rose swallowed hard. "They said nobody would hear a scream." Grim stood. They were wrong. Motorcycle, the call that changed everything. Grim pulled out an old phone, scratched, cracked, barely holding charge, and dialed 1 number. It rang once, twice, then a voice answered. "Yeah." Grim looked back at the forest. "They're back," he said. Silence on the other end. "Then how many?" "At least 3, Grim replied. Same pattern, same road. Another pause. "Location?" "Dead Elk Pass." The voice on the other end exhaled slowly. "All right," the man said. "Nobody rides alone tonight." Grim hung up. Rose didn't need an explanation. She felt it in the air. The storm hadn't scared him. It had covered his approach. Snowflake. The men who thought they got away 5 miles north. A white pickup sat idling near an abandoned logging road. Inside, the men were laughing. "Should have seen the tall one," one of them said, sipping from a flask. "Eyes like she wanted to kill me." "Doesn't matter," another replied. "Snow finished the job." The third man glanced at the forest, uneasy. "You ever feel like you're being watched?" The driver snorted. "By what?" "Trees." That's when the radio crackled. Static, then silence. The engine died. Headlights cut out. The truck went black. "What the hell?" A sound rolled through the trees. Not loud, not rushed. A motorcycle. Then another. Then another. The men froze. because they didn't hear panic. They heard confidence. Fire what the storm hides, cliffhanger. Back in the forest, Grim helped Rose onto the back of his bike. "Where are you taking us?" she asked. "Out of the storm," he replied, "and out of their reach." She looked back at the dark road. "And them?" Grim's eyes were flat. "The storm's got room for everyone tonight. If this story made your heart pound, if you believe real bikers still protect the innocent, Backhand Index Pointing Right, subscribe to our channel Bikershype. Backhand Index Pointing Right. Like this video, Backhand Index Pointing Right, share it with your friends. And if you truly love Hell's Angels and Biker Brotherhood, help us complete our 1,000 subscribers target. Now prove your love. The storm didn't get louder. IT got patient. Because when the road goes quiet, that's when the Brotherhood moves. The road that the white pickup sat dead in the snow. It's a steaming faintly like a wounded animal. Inside, 3 men didn't laugh anymore. The driver twisted the key again. "Nothing, battery," he muttered, though he knew it wasn't. The engine hadn't coughed. It hadn't struggled. It had simply stopped, like it had been told to. The man in the passenger seat leaned forward, peering to the windshield. Headlights appeared between the trees, point one, then another, slow, wide apart, encircling. "What is this?" the third man whispered. Nobody answered, because they all knew. Motorcycle, the Brotherhood as Grim rolled to stop first. Then 2 more bikes eased out of the darkness behind him. Engines idling low, controlled. Their riders didn't rush, didn't shout. They didn't need to. Men like this didn't come to talk point one by one. More lights flickered to the snowfall until the pickup was surrounded in a loose half-circle, leather jackets. Snow-dusted helmets. Calm eyes and patches needed to explain what kind of men these were. The driver swallowed hard. "Hey!" he called out, trying to sound casual. Truck broke down. "Cold night, huh?" Grim removed his helmet slowly. The snow touched his beard, melted, froze again. "You like leaving people tied to trees?" he asked. The words landed heavy. Too specific. Too accurate. The passenger door flew open. "We didn't." Grim raised one hand. The man stopped talking. That was the thing about men like Grim. They didn't yell. They didn't threaten. Their calm was the warning. Drop of blood confessions always come out until another biker stepped forward. Taller. Broader. His voice was gravel. "You know what cold does?" he asked. "It doesn't kill you fast. It teaches you regret first." The third man tried to run. He made it 3 steps. Then the snow took his feet out from under him, and a boot pressed into his back before he could scream. Grim knelt beside him. "Names," he said. "All of them." The man sobbed. They screamed," he cried. We thought nobody would come." Grim leaned closer. "That's what they thought about my friend," he said quietly. "Years ago. Same trees. Same knots." The man looked up, eyes wide with terror. "You're a," Grim stood. "I ride with the Hell's Angels," he said. "And we don't forget." Snowflake, justice doesn't worry, but they didn't beat them. They didn't need to. They took the ropes from the truck bed. The same ropes, the same knots. The men begged, promised, cried. Grim listened to none of it. "You'll hang long enough to feel what they felt," he said. Then the storm decided the rest. The snow kept falling, quiet, relentless. The bikes turned away one by one, engines fading into the forest. The road swallowed the sound. Hospital survival on the edge of Dawnby sunrise. Maya woke in a hospital bed. Her fingers were wrapped, her face pale but alive. Elena sat nearby, arm in a sling, eyes tired but burning with relief. Rose stood at the window, staring out at the parking lot that a black motorcycle was parked across the street. "Empty." She smiled faintly. "He didn't stay," Maya whispered. "No," Rose replied. "Men like that never do." Snowflake epilogue. Spring finds 0 engine weeks later. Hikers found 3 sets of frozen remains near Dead Elk Pass. No suspects, no witnesses. Just ropes and silence. The forest kept its secrets. But the road remembered. If this story moved you, if you believe real bikers still stand for justice, Backhand Index Pointing Right, subscribe to our channel. Bikershype, Backhand Index Pointing Right. Like this video, Backhand Index Pointing Right, share it with your friends. And if you truly love Hell's Angels and Biker Brotherhood, help us complete our 1,000 subscribers target. Now prove your love. Some men leave the road. Others become part of it. And the road never forgets the ones who bled for its code. the code written on edge. Grim didn't sleep. He rarely did after nights like that. The bikes were gone before dawn, tracks erased by fresh snowfall, engines swallowed by distance. But Grim rode only as far as an abandoned way station overlooking the valley. He killed the engine and sat there, hands resting on the tank, breath rising like smoke. The forest below looked peaceful now. That was a lie nature always told after violence. Grim pulled off his gloves. His hands were scarred, burns, cuts, old fractures that never healed right. Every mark had a memory. Every memory had a rule attached to it. Because Grim didn't ride wild, he rode by code. Drop of blood, the first rule. You don't hunt the double. Grim hadn't always been Grim. Once, he was just another kid who thought freedom meant speed, and he remembered his first long ride. The way the world opened up when the city disappeared behind him. The way the road didn't care who you were, only how you rode. IT was an older biker who taught him the first rule to a man with steel eyes and a voice that never rose. You see someone weaker than you, the man said, you don't test yourself on them. You protect them. That's the difference between an animal and a rider. Grim learned that rule the hard way. Years later, he broke it once, not by hurting someone weaker, but by not acting fast enough. That mistake had cost a life, and Grim had never forgiven himself. Snowflake, roses reacted 2 weeks after the storm. Grim was at a roadside bar just outside town. No patches visible. No attention drawn. The door opened. Cold air rushed in, then a familiar voice. I hoped you'd still be nearby. Grim looked up. Rose stood there, wrapped in a winter coat, hair tied back, eyes stronger than before, but still carrying the weight of that night. You shouldn't be here, Grim said calmly. She said anyway. I needed to say thank you, she replied. All of us did. Grim stared into his coffee. Thanking me won't make the road safer, he said. Rose shook her head. No, but it might keep it human. That made him look up. She slid something across the table. A folded photograph point 3 women standing together in sunlight, smiling, alive. Maya, Elena. Rose, you gave this back to us, Rose said softly. Grim pushed the photo back. Keep it, he said. I don't ride for souvenirs. She stood. Then know this, she said. What you did didn't just save us. It changed how we see the world. Grim didn't answer, but when she left, his hand shook slightly. Motorcycle, the second rule. The road is that night. Grim rode again, not chasing anyone, not hunting, just riding, because the road had a way of asking questions only motion could answer. Every mile reminded him why clubs like the Hells Angels survived generation after generation. Not because of fear, because of memory. Men like Grim carried the weight so others didn't have to, and when the road sensed some balance, it called them back. Snowflake, warning passes to the SS somewhere far away. A man sat in a bar watching a local news report point 3 bodies. Frozen, unidentified. The man's knuckles tightened around his glass. He knew the signs. He had heard the stories. You don't touch women. You don't hunt the helpless. You don't use a storm to hide. Because if you did, the road would answer, and the answer would ride on 2 wheels. Ice Cube, the silent pilgrim, pulled over at the edge of Dead Elk Pass one last time before leaving the region. The trees stood tall, quiet, watching. He shut off the engine and spoke to the forest, not out loud, but the way riders do. Not tonight, he thought. Not while I'm still breathing. Then he rode on to, if this part hit your soul, if you believe the biker code still matters, backhand index point right, subscribe to our channel, Bikershype, backhand index point right, like this video, backhand index point right, share it with your friends. And if you truly love Hell's Angels and what they stand for, help us complete our 1,000 subscribers target. Now prove your love. Every code has a cost. And when you live by the road's law, the road eventually asks for payment. The debt that rides Bishop Grim felt it before he saw it. That tightness between the shoulders. That old instinct that whispered you're not alone. He was 3 states east now. The snow lawn behind him. The sky clear and empty. A good place to disappear. A good place for a man like him to fade back into miles and anonymity. But the road doesn't let debts fade that IT collects. Motorcycle, a message without WRDS. Grim stopped at a fuel station just off Route 14. Old pumps. Flickering lights. The kind of place that existed only because the highway tolerated AS. He filled the tank. He noticed the bike parked 2 spaces over. Black. Unfamiliar. Engine still warm and no rider in sight. On the seat lay a single object, a strip of rope. Frozen stiff. Grim didn't touch it. He didn't need to. Someone had heard about Dead Oak Pass. Someone didn't like what they heard, and someone wanted Grim to know the story wasn't finished. Drop of blood, the third rule. If you stand, you stand. All the W.I. Grim rode out without looking back. His phone buzzed 10 miles later, point one message. You cross a line, no number, and signature. Grim exhaled slowly. No, he muttered to the wind. I erase one. He knew the type sending the message. Men who mistook fear for respect. Men who thought the biker code was just muscle and noise. They were wrong. The code was older than them. Older than highways. Older than fear. And the Hells Angels didn't abandon men who stood by it. Snowflake, the women who refused to stay back home. Rose watched the news with clenched fists. Another woman missing. Another winter road. Another no-lead report. She recognized the pattern. Maya did too. Elena slammed her laptop shut. They're still out there, she said. Different men. Same sickness. Rose stood. Then we don't stay quiet, she said. They contacted reporters, advocacy groups, anyone who would listen. And quietly, the stories began to spread. Not names, not faces, but warnings, roads to avoid, trucks to watch for, forests that didn't forgive. Predators hate light. And the women Grim say became exactly that. Motorcycle, a confrontation at the edge of Enodari Grim, met them at dusk. Point 3 bikes, blocking a desert turnout. Point 3 men standing beside them. N.O. smiles, N.O. greetings. One step forward. You think you're a hero, the man said. You think the road belongs to you. Grim removed his helmet. I don't think anything, he replied. I remember. The man sneered. You made things difficult. Grim nodded once. Good. The standoff hung heavy. Engines idled. Hands hovered close, not shaking, not rushed. Finally, the man stepped back. This isn't over. Grim mounted his bike. It never is, he said. That's the point. He rode away. They didn't follow. Not yet. Snowflake, the prices of that night. Grim slept for the first time in weeks. Not because the danger was gone, but because he had accepted it. Living by the code meant carrying its weight. Every mile, every consequence, every shadow that followed. And Grim would carry it, because someone had it out that this chapter made you feel the weight of the road. If you believe real bikers still stand when it's hard, Backhand Index Boring Right, subscribe to our channel. Bikershype, Backhand Index Boring Right. Like this video, Backhand Index Boring Right, share it with your friends. And if you truly love Hells Angels and Biker Brotherhood, help us complete our 1,000 subscribers target that now prove your love. The road didn't roar this time. IT held its breath. Because traps don't announce themselves. They wait. The night the road closing, Grim felt the silence stretch too long, and no wind. No insects. No distant engines. Just asphalt unspooling beneath his tires, and the moon hanging low. Pale as a scar, that's when the road narrowed. Construction cones appeared where none should be. A blinking amber light pulsed once, twice, then died. Grim eased off the throttle a mile ahead. A truck sat sideways across both lanes. Hazards on empty cab. Too clean. Grim thought. He didn't stop these slowed, just enough. Then the darkness moved. Ho! The Trappist headlights flared from the ditch to his left. Another engine revved behind him. Steel clanged. A chain skittering across the road. Snapping tight like a jaw. Grim leaned the bike hard. Tires biting. Missing the chain by inches. He gunned it, felt the rear fishtail, corrected, and burst to the gap between the cones. Shouts erupted. Boots hit pavement at a shape, lunged and missed. Grim didn't look back. He counted heartbeats. Point 1, 2, 3, then he heard it. Engines giving chase. Motorcycle, the rule that saves Grim, took the side road he'd memorized earlier, a cracked ribbon leading into scrub and rock. He killed his lights, rode by moon glow, and let the pursuers overshoot. He tucked him behind a boulder outcrop. Engine off, breath steady. The bikes roared past, too fast. Too angry, that's the mistake. Grim waited. He always did. When the sound faded, he rolled out slow, lights still dark, and slipped away the way only riders who know the land can. The rule wasn't be faster. The rule was be patient. Snowflake. Words travel faster than beach 2 towns over. Rose's phone lit up. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered, a voice calm and careful. We're tracking a group using winter routes to stage ambushes. You spoke to reporters. Rose swallowed. They're hunting the man who saved us. Yes, the voice said, and others like him. Then tell him, Rose said. Tell him he's not alone. The voice paused. He already knows. Drop of blood, the Brotherhood closes our grim, reached a safe stretch before dawn. He stopped beneath a highway overpass, checked the bike, wiped grit from his visor. His phone buzzed, point one message. Then another, then three more. NO names, NO explanations. Just locations. Routes. Times. The quiet signal that riders understand we're here. Men who live by the same lines were moving, not to chase glory, not to make noise, but to deny the road to predators. The kind of response that doesn't trend, the kind that works. Somewhere in that web were riders tied by history and scars to the Hell's Angels, not for show, but for the code that endures when winters get long. Snowflake, A turning point to be mid-morning. A sheriff's office announced a task force. Checkpoint appeared on known winter. Cut-throughs. Tow trucks hauled a suspicious vehicle from a ditch. Men who thought the store would hide them realized the storm was now watching, and predators hate being seen. Sunrise the road opens at Grim Road at sunrise. Not fleeing, not chasing, just moving forward, the way you do when you accept the cost and pay it without complaint. You pass a sign. Dead yell K pass. 12 miles. Grim nodded once. Not today, he said to no one. And the road agreed. If this chapter made your pulse rise. If you believe the biker code protects when systems fail, Backhand Index Boring Right, subscribe to our channel, Bikershype. Backhand Index Boring Right, like this video, Backhand Index Boring Right, share it with your friends. And if you truly love Hell's Angels and the Brotherhood spirit, help us complete our 1,000 subscribers target. Now prove your love. The storm finally moved on, but storms leave marks, and someone was about to answer for them. The men behind the scene, Grim, didn't need names. He needed patterns, and patterns were everywhere now. The same trucks showing up near winter routes, the same burner phones lighting up near closed-way stations, the same quiet payoffs that kept questions from being asked. This wasn't a random pack of predators. IT was organized. Someone was funding fuel. Someone was paying for silence. Someone believed money could buy the road. They were wrong. Compass followed the money. Not the United. The clue came from a place no one expected, a tow operator. Middle-aged. Clean record. Nervous hands. He recognized Grim at a diner off the interstate, not from the news, but from the way he carried himself, the way riders do when they've seen winters that didn't make the papers. Those trucks you're asking about, the man said quietly, sliding a receipt across the counter. They don't pay cash anymore. Grim glanced at the paper that a shell company, a logistics front, an address tied to a derelict cold storage facility near the rail spur. Grim folded the receipt. Appreciate it, he said. The tow operator swallowed. You be careful. Grim stood. I am careful, he replied. That's why I'm here. Factory in a cold storage facility looked abandoned. Corrugated steel, boarded windows, the kind of place the cave pretends to own. But Grim heard the generators before he saw them. Low. Steady. Confident, he parked out of sight and waited. Patience wasn't passive. It was positioning. Point 2 trucks arrived. No plates. Radios crackled. Men moved with practiced ease. Not amateurs. Grim sent one message on a map. Nothing else. Then he watched. Motorcycle. When the road speaks ASO, they arrived without drama. NO sirens. No shouting. Just engines idling at a respectful distance. Close enough to be heard. Far enough to feel. Men stepped out and stopped. Because they recognized the posture. Because they understood the silence. Because this wasn't about territory. It was about limits that a tall man in a parka walked forward. You're making this expensive, he said. Grim removed his helmet. You made it cruel, he replied. I'm making it end. The man scoffed. You think you can shut routes down? Grim nodded once. Watch. Snowflake. The lever in 01 he expedited. Grim didn't threaten. He didn't need to. He named things. Dates. Invoices. Drivers. Winter windows. Each word landed like a stone dropped into deep water. The man's confidence drained. You talk, the man said. You bring heat. Grim's eyes were calm. Heat melts snow, he said. It doesn't hide tracks. The generators shut off point one by one. The men backed away from the trucks. Routes died that night, not with violence, but with exposure, because predators can't work when the dark gets crowded. Sunrise over mountains is shift on MP within days. Winter cut-throughs closed for maintenance. Shell accounts froze. A quiet audit started where audits never start. No headlines and no credit. Just fewer names on missing person lists. Rose watched the update scroll by on her phone and felt a knot in her chest loosen, not gone, but lighter. Maya returned to work. Elena volunteered nights. They didn't call it heroism. They called it paying forward survival. Motorway, the road keeps IT Grim Road past the rail spur at dawn. Empty now. Cleaned. He didn't smile, he rarely did. But he felt the road open. The subtle easing that comes when balance returns. Some winters end with graves. Others end with warnings. This one ended with a line drawn that, if this chapter made you believe again. If you believe the biker code protects the unseen, Backhand Index Pointing Right, subscribe to our channel, Bikershype, Backhand Index Pointing Right. Like this video, Backhand Index Pointing Right. Share it with your friends. And if you truly love Hell's Angels and the Brotherhood spirit, help us complete our 1,000 subscribers target and now prove your love. The line had been drawn so they tried to erase it. When the past comes riding Baker retaliation, never comes loud, IT comes personal. Grim learned that truth the morning his mirror cracked without being touched. He stood outside a roadside motel, helmet in hand, watching the thin fractures spread across the glass like ice crawling over a lake. No rock on the ground. No footprints in the dust. Just a message, we know where you stop. Grimmed and flinched, he taped the mirror and rode on. Drop of blood, a name from another W to the call. Came near dusk, an old voice. Familiar, heavy with years. Grim, the man said, didn't think I'd ever dial you again. Grim pulled over beneath a cottonwood, engine ticking as it cooled. Then don't, Grim replied to pause. They're asking about you, the voice said. Offering money. Grim closed his eyes. The voice belonged to Cole, a rider who'd shared roads with Grim decades ago, before scars replaced smiles. Who? Grim asked. Men who don't ride, Cole answered. Men who pay others to bleed. That was all Grim needed. Snowflake. The women feel the arc of the roads and notice the unmarked sedan first. Parked too often. Gone too fast. Maya felt it at work. The way strangers lingered near closing time. Elena found her car door unlocked. Nothing taken. Everything disturbed. They called Grim together. We're not scared, Rose said. But we're not blind. Grim listened. Then he spoke softly. You won't face this alone. He meant it, and that meant he couldn't outrun it anymore. Motorcycle, the test of standing S.O. Grim Road to a place he hadn't seen in years, an old stretch of highway where the asphalt buckled and the wind never rested, a meeting place. He didn't summon anyone. He waited by midnight. Bikes arrived, one at a time, headlights dipping in acknowledgement. Men who understood silence. Men who respected lines. Some carried ties to the Hells Angels not as decoration, but as history. Grim didn't ask for help, he told the truth. They're pushing, he said. Not for roads. For leverage. A rider with steel gray hair nodded. They'll push until it costs them. Another asked, what do you want? Grim met their eyes. Containment. Light. Witnesses. No cheering. Just agreement. Snowflake, the move that the men behind the curtain tried to shortcut. They leaked a story to half-true. Carefully poisoned. IT painted Grim as reckless. Vigilant. Dangerous. IT lasted one day. Then receipts surfaced. Toll logs. Invoices. Phone pings. And the story flipped not loudly, not theatrically, but decisively. Predators hate records. Records don't scare. They end things. Sunrise dawn breaks different be morning. The unmarked sedan was gone. The call stopped. The route stayed closed. Rose walked her block without looking over her shoulder. Maya laughed at work for the first time in weeks. Elena slept. Grim rode at sunrise and felt the road soften again. Not victory. Stability. Motorway, what stays within. Grim knew it wouldn't last forever. Nothing does, but lines drawn with care don't vanish overnight. They fade slowly, if at all, in some winters. That's enough, if this chapter made you feel the weight lift. If you believe standing together changes outcomes. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe to our channel, Bikershype. Backhand index pointing right. Like this video, backhand index pointing right. Share it with your friends. And if you truly love Hell's Angels and the Brotherhood spirit, help us complete our 1,000 subscribers target. Now prove your love. The road didn't ask for blood this time. IT asked a harder question. Who deserves mercy and who never did? The choice of no rider dummies to call came just before dawned and no threats. No bravado. Just a location. Grim knew what it meant. When people who traffic in shadows ask for a meeting at sunrise, it's because they're running out of places to hide. He rode anyway. Motorway, the place where things ended. A meeting point sat at the edge of a quarry. Wind scraped, wide open, honest in a way secrets. 8.2 vehicles waited. NO engines running to NO men pacing. That alone told Grim this was different. That a woman stepped forward. Late 40s, sharp coat, eyes that measured consequences instead of fear. I fund logistics, she said. I don't pick victims. Grim removed his helmet. You paid people who did, he replied. That's picking. She nodded once. That's why I'm here. Behind her, a man with a nervous twitch stared at the gravel. He'd been a courier, a cleaner, a denier, the kind of man who told himself he was neutral. Neutrality is amid the guilty love. Snowflake, the truth, laid bare. A woman spoke without interruption. Routes, payments, cover stories. She didn't beg. She offered access, names that mattered, accounts that froze, testimony that didn't grandstand. Why? Grim asked. She looked past him, out at the empty horizon. Because the winter you broke my routes, she said. A girl lived who shouldn't have. And I couldn't pretend not to see it. The courier swallowed. I didn't touch anyone, he said quickly. Grim's eyes didn't soften. You made it possible. Silence. The courier took their words and kept them. Drop of blood mercy isn't for Grim. Turn to the courier. You'll talk, he said. Fully. You'll take the charges. You'll live with what you enabled. The man nodded frantically. Grim turned back to the woman. You'll open your books, he said. You'll burn your fronts. You'll disappear from this work. And if I don't, she asked. Grim tilted his head. Then the road keeps answering. She considered that. Then she nodded. This wasn't forgiveness. That IT was containment. And sometimes containment saves more lives than spectacle. Motorcycle, the code. Spoken only. Grim didn't shake hands. He mounted his bike. Yes, he did. A pair of riders crested the ridge, distant, visible, calm. Witnesses, not muscle. The kind of presence that reminds people what stands behind quiet decisions. The woman watched them, then looked back at Grim. You ride with them? She asked. Grim didn't answer directly. He said only, I ride with the code. Men like him had carried that code long before names mattered. The same code honored by riders who worn the colors of the Hell's Angels, not as threat, but as promise. Protect the helpless. Don't profit from cruelty, and never pretend you didn't see. Sunrise over mountains, what mercy to you within weeks. Accounts locked. Routes dismantled. Testimony filed quietly, thoroughly. No victory lap. Just fewer nights when sirens had reasons. Rose felt it when the news stopped feeling like a warning. Maya felt it when her hand stopped shaking in the cold. Elena felt it when sleep came without bargaining. Motorway, a road that Grim rode at dusk, the sky bruised purple and gold. He passed the quarry once more. Empty now, he nodded, not to place, but to decision. Mercy had made him weaker. IT had made the map safer, and the road noticed. If this chapter made you think, if you believe strength can choose restraint, backhand index pointing right. Subscribe to our channel, Bikershype. Backhand index pointing right. Like this video, backhand index pointing right. Share it with your friends. And if you truly love Hell's Angels and the Biker Brotherhood, help us complete our 1,000 subscribers target. Now prove your love. The road never asks for applause. IT asks one last thing. Will you keep the promise, even when no one is watching? The promise that rides Owen Grim Road before sunrise and no destination. No schedule. Just a steady thrum beneath him and the pale line of morning cutting the dark in half. He passed the turnoff to Dead Elk Pass without slowing. Some places don't need revisiting. They need remembering. Motorway, what man leaves being at a small town an hour east. Grim stopped at a diner that still brewed coffee too strong and asked no questions. He left a folded bill beneath his cup, more than the meal cost, less than a favor. Outside, a kid watched him from the window, wide eyes, helmet scuffed from drops, hands twitching like they already knew a throttle. Grim paused, met the kid's gaze, and gave a small nod, not encouragement, permission, to ride right. Snowflake, the women, years elder winter, came again, and this time it didn't take anyone. Rose stood at a community center podium, voice steady, telling drivers which roads to avoid when storms turn cruel. She didn't say why she knew. She didn't need to. Maya trained new hires at the diner to trust their instincts and to never apologize for leaving a situation that feels wrong. Elena ran night clinics during cold snaps, keeping thermoses hot and doors open. They never used Grim's name. They needed he was there, and the choices that kept people alive. Compass the code, quietly keep PT across the map. Winter routes stayed boring. That's how you knew it worked. Boring means safe. Boring means nobody's hunting. Men who once profited from the dark found it crowded with light. The kind that comes from records, witnesses, and riders who don't shout. Riders who live by a code older than headlines. A code honored by those tied by history and scars to the Hell's Angels. Protect the helpless. Don't profit from cruelty, and never pretend you didn't see. Sunrise alas looked big at the edge of a long straightaway. Grim stopped and killed the engine. The world went still. He thought a friend he'd buried. Of the 3 women who lived. Of the line he'd drawn and the mercy he'd chosen. Some legends roar. Others end quietly. Grim mounted up, rolled on the throttle, and became it on the horizon. Another rider keeping a promise the road understands. The road didn't clap. IT open. If this story stayed with you. If you believe the biker code still protects the innocent. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe to our channel. Bikershype. Backhand index pointing right. Like this video. Backhand index pointing right. Share it with your friends. And if you truly love Hell's Angels and what the Brotherhood stands for, help us complete our 1,000 subscribers target. Now prove your love.